All right. I'm Andrew for Fantasy Aid. Welcome to this podcast. I'm going to be giving you some pickup advice, talking about surprises and disappointments of the season. We're a little bit more than a third way through. Talk a little bit about teams, update on that. And as the title suggests, talk about All-Star Game voting. It's the Royals all over again, if you remember last year. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, literally ridiculous. So, before we get into fantasy baseball, let's just run through the All-Star voting right now, okay? Um, I'll first talk about shortstop in the National League. Addison Russell. Addison Russell is currently leading all shortstops. He's got a solid 232 average with 4 home runs. Why wouldn't he? Who cares about Corey Seager? What's he done? He's only batting 284 with 14 home runs. Seriously, Corey Seager's not even in the top 5 if you look at it. Neither is Aledmys Diaz. Now, yes, Seager definitely deserves it way over Diaz, even though Diaz has had a good season. But both of them should be in the top 5, and it boggles my mind that they're not. How is Drupal Cabrera in the top 5? Seriously, he's number 4, just above Zach Cozart. Now, second base is reasonable. Murphy's had the better year, but Zobrist has been great. Bryant, okay, maybe. Again, Arenado probably, but not horrible. I do think Rizzo deserves it at first. And I'm not a homer. Jonathan Lucroy. Jonathan Lucroy needs to be the starter. Here's what I think about it. You need to take away the voting from the fans because we've proved that we are incompetent to pick the best players. It seems like we're all homers. I voted for Lucroy. I didn't vote for Yachty. He's not doing enough this year. If the game decides home series, home field advantage, you have to let the MLB pick it. If this was the way in 2011, it wasn't decided by the All-Star game. The Cardinals wouldn't have won that World Series because they wouldn't have had Game 6 and 7 at home. Yes, they could have, but it wouldn't have happened the same thing. Wouldn't have happened the same way. It's important. MLB wants it to be an important game, but we're voting in dumb guys like Omar Infante, who almost got in last year. But this year it's the Cubs, and yeah, some of the Cubs players are great, but Addison Russell, come on. We pick. What if we let them vote pitchers? Would Kershaw not pitch? You know what I mean? But anyway, the AL is a ton more reasonable. At first base, you got David Ortiz, and what can you say about David Ortiz? He's got 55 RBIs. He's a beast. You'd think he's in his 20s or his early 30s. How is he retiring next year? How is he retiring next year? He's amazing. Him and Xander Bogaerts automatically make the Red Sox way better than the. They make it way. Those two just make that lineup way better. Yeah, James is saying it was like 8 and 9 Royals at one point. Yeah, it was. I remember that, and that was crazy. And I didn't care because I wanted the NL to win but the AL is a lot more reasonable this year. Definitely. Jose Altuve at second, Hosmer at first, Salvador Perez, Jackie Bradley Jr., Lorenzo Cain, Mike Trout currently winning. And obviously there's a ton of time to make up for that. But that's all I'll say about the All-Star game. It's stupid. Revamp the voting system. So let's go into surprises and disappointments third of the way through the season. And one of my biggest guys I was hyping in the offseason, Matt Moore. Matt Moore, what are you doing? He was my guy. awesome in spring training, got off to a decent start. And I thought, yes, he's back. And now he's not even on most of my teams. Like, he's definitely droppable. In the 12-team league, if you find some upside guy, pick him up. I mean, Matt Moore. It's been a super disappointment. And the opposite of that is Rich Hill. I was mildly kind of interested in him before spring training. He had a terrible spring training, and I'm like, nope, no, I'm gonna avoid him. And then he's been awesome, and luckily I have him on almost every team because I went and picked him up. But let's kind of say, like, do you even pay attention to spring training? Like next year? I mean, Macau Franco is another guy. He was hyped to the max. He was going in the 3rd round, and he's just been meh this year. You know, it's like, how much stock do you put in spring training? That's something to think about next year. Definitely something I'm going to think about next year when I'm thinking about these players. But let's go into, Matt Moore aside, let's go into some of the surprises. I already mentioned Rich Hill. I mean, he's been out with a groin injury for a little while now. I'm hoping he avoids the DL. He's got 2.25 ERA and 74 Ks in 64 innings. Now, that's some good pitching. Chris Tillman, he pitched tonight actually. 7.1 innings, got the win against Kansas City. I mean, he's got a 3.33 ERA, and I want to be careful. I want to be careful when I say this. Tillman and Arrieta are somewhat similar, and I'm not saying that Tillman has the upside of Arrieta, but they were teammates at one point. Tillman was actually the higher prospect, and they both just kind of didn't work out. Tillman had one okay season, but I think this Tillman thing is real. I'm not saying he's going to be Arrieta, but I mean, I really like him. I mean, he's been pretty solid. And again, I have him on a ton of teams. After he had a couple good starts, I went out and picked him up. And, like, you know, the guys I thought would carry my staff aren't carrying my staff. I'm looking at you, Chris Archer. Yeah. I mean, unless Zach Greinke, Chris Archer probably is one of the most disappointing pitchers this year. I thought he was going to be better than last year in the ERA department with more Ks. On the flip side of that, Danny Salazar, thank you. I love you. Oh, man. If only Justin didn't love him as much as I did in the preseason, or all my teams would just be set. He's been absolutely amazing. I think I only have him in 2 leagues. 2.24 ERA, 81 Ks. Now, the weird thing about him is he doesn't have great control. He has great stuff. He doesn't give up hits. He'll walk people. And it's weird because it works. He still doesn't give up the runs. He'll walk for a game, but he's fine because no one can hit those pitches. And he'll get you the Ks. I'd love to see him go deeper into games, but he's definitely working out. Yeah, Ryan or Tom from Fantasy Sports Addicts Anonymous. I don't know which one it is. I'm assuming Ryan. Archer, Waino, Greinke, Harvey. Those are basically the biggest disappointments. Now, Harvey's been doing better. Waino's just been kind of a meh. He's more of a streamer, although, you know, he's been okay. Greinke is turning it around too. And then Archer's just like, yeah. So it's Ryan. Fantasy Sports Addicts Anonymous. Check out their YouTube channel. Check out their site, fantasysportsaddicts.com. Everybody chats there all the time. It's really fun. They're going to be getting into football soon, you know, starting some football leagues. So that's not really, I'm going to play in a couple, but that's not really my expertise. So if you want to, you know, hop into some mock drafts with us, because we'll be doing football mock drafts, check them out. Some more surprising guys. Let's see here. Ian Kinsler, kinda. I mean, he's kind of having a resurgent year in the power department. I got him in a later because he kind of fell. He's batting 320 right now. I don't know if I can classify Matt Shoemaker yet as a surprise, but that splitter's working. Last start he gave up 4 runs, but that's because that made me mad when that reliever gave the home run. Yeah, James from the website mentions Aledmus Diaz. I don't know how I didn't mention him first. Aledmus Diaz. No, he's the biggest surprise of the year because nobody saw him coming. I guarantee he wasn't drafted in any league unless you're in like a 40-team league or something. Nobody saw it coming. He had a good spring, but he got sent down, and then Ruben Tejada got hurt, and that's probably one of the best things that have ever happened with Cardinals this season is Tejada getting hurt, because he would have been our starting shortstop, and I would have been depressed because we'd probably be under 500 right now. Aledmus Diaz, he's batting 320. He was batting over 400 for a while. He's cooled off, but he's batting his second in a great lineup. And with Johnny Peralta back and Colton Wong in AAA, that offense is up there with some of the best in the league. Just mention if Johnny Peralta's on your waiver wire, go pick him up. Because he was just injured. He just got off the DL. Her first home run tonight. I'm gonna be honest. I actually dropped Tulo for him. I easily just dropped Troy Tulowitzki for him. I'm done with Tulowitzki. Like, I didn't have high expectations coming in, but he's just been brutal. He's done. I legitimately think Tulo is done. So see, more surprises. Eugenio Suarez, he was one of my sleepers coming in. I don't know if you can call him a disappointment or a surprise. You knew going in the batting average was going to be low. I was hoping for more of a 260-ish. He's at 233 right now. But the home run totals are up there. Yeah, Johnny Peralta will have third base shortstop eligibility soon, which is awesome. Also, just a bonus from that move is Matt Carpenter's going to have second base eligibility next year because that's his new position. I was worried going into the season that this would be his last season with that, but definitely not the case. He'll get that. Who's a stash? I stashed in a ton of my leagues. Jung Ho Gong. He's got 8 home runs and 22 RBIs already. He's been hitting the ball, batting 298. He was definitely worth a stash. And on the flip side, Devin Travis hasn't showed much, batting 197. But I still think he can turn it around. I'm willing to wait on him. Definitely. Closer's been crazy. I mean, you got Sam Dyson. You got so many changes early in the season, and now it's kind of just died out. Yeah, I'll mention JD Bala, mentioned Aaron Nola, and really you can put almost the entire Philly staff in that. Jeremy Hellickson has been surprisingly decent lately. Eckhoff had a great start against the Cubs, and I was kind of done with him, but after the Cubs start, I'm like, whoa, maybe I gave up a little bit too early on Eckhoff. Velasquez actually left today's start, 0.1 innings. It doesn't sound good. And like, if he goes on the DL in one of my leagues, I have 60% of my pitchers on the DL. Like, please don't go on the DL, Vince Velasquez. And I fear this is going to make them careful with their his innings now. They're going to be like, whoa, and pull him back. Maybe even put him in the bullpen or something. Like, he was pitching a ton of innings, and he hasn't been great, but he's been kind of just solid. And if he's unavailable on your wire, he was actually only available on one wire, and that was actually the Money League, which was surprising. Carlos Gomez. Now, I don't like Carlos Gomez. I've never liked Carlos Gomez. That swing is atrocious, but he's had 2 home runs in the last 3 games. I mean, if he's got 6 steals too, and just pick him up if it's real, if he's okay now. I mean, trying to remember. I dropped Francisco Cervelli for him, which, no big deal there. And if no big loss if he's not anything. John Gray. I don't feel like John Gray is given enough credit. Like, look at his ERA. It's 5.33. But he's been terrific on the road. And if you look at his road ERA, it's terrible too. That's because he had a 24 ERA against the Cardinals on May 19th. But besides that one start, every single road start has been great. And obviously, San Diego is not an MLB team. He is their AAA team. And every pitcher has their best start against him. Vince Velasquez has 16 Ks. But he got 12 Ks last time out. I mean, he's got more than a strikeout per inning. You can't start him at Coors, obviously, but I think he could be owned in more leagues. Like I'm seeing now, I'm looking at him. He's available in 2 leagues. He's 23% owned. He's available in the FSAA Snake League and one of the public leagues. Can't fit him anywhere on my roster there, but he's definitely a streamer. So let's talk a little bit about some disappointments. I don't know. Can we put Anthony Rizzo in there? I mean, the stats are there. He has got his batting average up, but he hasn't been, what we really wanted from him in a, basically first round pick. Like I would always take him in 11th or 12th pick if I could. 260, 13 home runs, 42 RBIs, and the stolen bases he showed last year really aren't there right now. I mean, maybe it gets better later. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked it up. James would probably know. Were the steals backlogged in the first half or the second half last year, or was it kind of even? Because like you don't draft Rizzo for steals, but you were kind of hoping maybe they were there. Continuing with first basemans, got to mention Jose Abreu, who's still not completely there. I mean, I have a lot of confidence he'll turn it around too, but so far not the best season. Josh Donaldson can also be thrown in there. He's kind of in the Rizzo thing. He was drafted 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. His average is pretty low right now at 245, but he does have 13 home runs and 30 RBIs. So I don't know. I'm just kind of, you know me. I like high batting average guys. Now this might be a shock, but I think I would call Stanton a disappointment at this point. Just going out on a limb there. Giancarlo Stanton, batting 197 going into today. I think he had 2 hits today, both singles. But, man, I'm still trying to buy low on him. I've put a couple fuel offers out there. Haven't gotten any bites, but I don't feel comfortable training any more than I did. I have complete confidence he'll turn it around. He's still hitting the ball hard. Justin Upton, that's actually a good point. Someone dropped him in a public league. I did. Justin obviously, I guess, didn't put a waiver claim in for him because I did pick him up in that league. I think he got a home run like 2 days ago, so I'm hoping he heats up. He's the hottest and coldest. He can have 20 home runs in a week and then not hit any of the rest. Like he is definitely the streakiest hitter in baseball. Yeah, but Giancarlo Stanton, seriously, what's wrong with the dude? Looking at Yahoo, not counting today because they're still playing. He's 2-for-4 right now. He was batting 071 with a 143 slugging in the last 7 days. I mean, I'm surprised I haven't seen him dropped in a public league. Because some fantasy players are that stupid. So let's see, more disappointments. I already mentioned Chris Archer. A big disappointment. Puig, if you believed in him, I didn't. I wouldn't classify him as a disappointment because I didn't like him anyway. Even though I did trade for him in one league. I don't know why I did that. Probably wasn't thinking at that point. One of the guys a lot of us were high on coming into the season, Billy Burns. He's got 12 steals, but he's got 6 RBIs in no home runs and batting 245. Brett mentions Jacob deGrom. Yeah, definitely. He's not as much up there as Harvey, but he hasn't been what we wanted either. I mean, he actually has been better lately. He's got a 2.80 ERA right now. But definitely Sonny Gray. Yeah, not very sunny on his stats. Actually, I'm bringing up DeGrom's stats. I actually haven't been paying too much attention. I want to see what he's done in his last couple games. Last 3 games, pretty decent actually. 3 earned runs against Pittsburgh, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 7 innings, 5 hits, 10 strikeouts against the White Sox, who stink, and the Dodgers, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. So he's kind of turning it around. Steven Matz has been amazing. And I wasn't too big on him into the season. I didn't actually end up with any Mats, which is kind of sad. Corey Kluber. Yeah, Corey Kluber he's a tough pitcher to figure out. Definitely. I mean, he's been good and bad at the same time. I mean, if you look at his ERA, definitely bad. But I don't know. I mean, do we think Kluber's been really bad? I think he'll do better. He had a decent start last time out. Another speculative ad, if you got, a roster spot in your league. He's only 8% owned. James Paxton. 6 innings, 10 strikeouts against the Indians. And he was hitting 100 miles an hour consistently. I speculated a bit. Obviously I didn't have room on every team that I wanted with him, but I did add him in a couple leagues just to see something's there. I've been always kind of softy on him. I liked him last year. So, just something to think about if if you're not using it. Yeah, I mean, Kluber's been up and down. Good start, bad start, 2 good starts, 2 really bad starts, 3 good starts. Very inconsistent. Obviously, Danny Salazar is the best pitcher on that staff right now. I mean, Carrasco just got back. I actually think Carrasco just started pitching an hour ago. I know he's pitching tonight. I had Yu Darvish in my DFS lineup today, and he left with an injury. Definitely watched that. And then I went with Syndergaard, who only had the okay start. My gut said Tillman, and I didn't listen to my gut. That was my fault. Definitely. So I don't know what players say in the chat. What would you consider your best pickup so far this season, off the waiver wire or through a trade? Like, what has been your best pickup this season so far? For me, definitely Rich Hill, just because of the number of times I added him in different leagues. And while we're doing that, I'll bring up a couple things. Lemus Diaz, yeah, he's definitely up there. Man, I kind of have regrets with Diaz. I was one of the earliest ones to pick him up. And I only did it in 2 leagues. Like, why didn't I go do it in any of the other leagues? I don't know. I don't remember at the time why I didn't. I just picked him up in the 2 FSA dynasties, and I didn't do it anywhere else, which was my mistake. Ozuna and Buxton. Yeah, Ozuna's been amazing. I was on the Ozuna hype train coming into the season. Bad April, people were dropping him. Byron Buxton, yeah, he's been good so far. I think anyone who knows me knows I'm not a Buxton fan, but I think it's just prospect fatigue at this point. Jonathan VR, he's definitely a surprise of the season. Like, I picked him up once in a 16-team league because I couldn't fill anybody else with shortstop. And hey, we got another guy on, Ted Cruz, who's owning everybody in the auction league. Yeah, I picked up VR because one of my shortstops got injured in a 16 team. I'm like, well, I guess I'll fill it with him. And then he's just gone off and been amazing. Eduardo Nunez has been amazing too. Shortstop is just an amazing position. I mean, just say that. Shortstop is amazing. Trumbo. Yeah, James was one of the only guys on Trumbo. I hated him. I didn't want anything to do with him. And I look silly now. I mean, James was obviously right to be high on him. I wish I had looked at it a little bit more and picked him up because that's where Trumbo was drafted. That's one of the biggest steals so far in the draft. Now, I don't think he keeps up the home run pace. I think, 260, but I mean, maybe that's just me being still down on Trumbo despite what he's done. Yeah, so welcome to the stream, Ted. Man, your own, like, I was in for so long, and then you just kind of jumped ahead of me in the FSAA roto. Kind of disappointed with that. So just run a little bit through how my teams are doing. I just mentioned the FSA roto. I fall into third. I was like in first all of April. Then my team kind of went south. Yeah, no, there's plenty of season left. I haven't been given an update on my fantasy aid league in a while. I started off hot, really hot. Like I was way in first, but I've lost the last 3 weeks, which pushes me down to fourth. And can I just say, Ryan missed most of the draft. I think Ryan missed almost all the draft. Started off really rough, and now he's like 1 win behind me. Like, Ryan's team is really climbing those ranks. Hoping my team can kind of turn it around. That's one league where I haven't made a ton of ads just because, it's a money league and, like, that's where everybody's active. Like, if you think of a player, nope, somebody already picked them up 3 days ago, and that's the kind of league this is right now. And I got some underperforming players. Jose Abreu. I had to use a crappy catcher because Nick Hundley injured for a while. Shortstop's not great with this Drupal Cabrera. Still Troy Tulowitzki in that league. Ugh. Did get Paxton. I was happy about that. On Gray. And then, actually, what I'm really surprised is in the 2 FSA Dynasty leagues, which are probably the 2 most awesome leagues I'm in. I'm actually first and I think 6th. Playing Justin this week, and that's a tough matchup. Yeah, James catching. Like, can we just put? I know there's been a couple good catchers, but can we just say the entire catching position is the disappointment of the season? Like, catchers suck. I mean, JT Realmuto, I was big on him and was drafting him on the late rounds. He's giving you average. That's all he's giving you. He's giving you nothing else. He's got 2 steals. He's got like 2 home runs. He's just not giving you any of those stats. It's just a big empty average. Buster Posey has not been Buster Posey so far this year. I think he's day-to-day right now. Jonathan Lucroy has been one of the lone bright spots, along with Wilson Ramos, like Tristan. Oh yes, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, yeah, I'm sure Ryan still has nightmares about that every night. Glad I never drafted him because I never wanted him that early. I think most of my catchers are either JT Realmuto and Nick Hundley, and like basically it's like they're not hurting me, they're not helping me. It's just kind of meh. Yeah, I don't actually know much about like what I don't know what the surgery is, like LASIK surgery. I'm not exactly sure what they do there, but yeah, I mean it seemed effective for him. I mean he was good a couple years ago, and then it's kind of mad. Now he's definitely back, and it doesn't hurt hitting in the same lineup as Harper. But yeah, basically, I think I have maybe 3 leagues where it's not AT Rumoto or Hunley. Like I got Cameron Rupp in a 2-team league. Interesting note. This is an interesting note. Cameron Rupp is leading the league in average hard hit balls. Like he's leading the league, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of weird, you know. I mean, how is I don't know. I haven't been. I mean, if you're in a 2 catcher league, you can do a lot worse than him. Oh, and an interesting post happened on the FSA Snake League, and you definitely got to talk about him. Xander Bogaerts, MVP. If he wasn't on a team with David Ortiz, he'd definitely be the MVP of that team, and maybe in the league so far. Just ridiculous what he's doing. Again, man, Justin probably has like Danny Salazar and Xander Bogaerts on every single team. Like, oh man, if I had both of those guys on my team, I'd be the happiest person in the world. Another guy that I don't know, would you consider him living up to the hype? Rougned Odor. I was crazy for him in the offseason. He's batting .267, 8 home runs, 28 RBIs, 6 stolen bases. You know, he hasn't been bad, but oh yeah, Tristram. I don't know. I'll call him Coffin because but Daniel Murphy, is he going to bat 400 this season? Are we going to see a 400 average? Like, how is he not leading in the All Star? How is he second? Going back to that All Star thing. Will Cano keep up the production? You know, Cano is really interesting because if you look back at last year, his second half was his best part. He was terrible. He was terrible in the first half, and everybody wrote him off. And then he just cranks it out in the second half. So I think it's entirely possible. I mean, maybe he'll hit less home runs, but I don't think he'll fall off a cliff. I mean, he's not out of line with his career numbers. He's batting .288. He batted .287 last year. Strikeouts are about where they were. Walks are about where they were. Home runs are way up. He's not going to hit 30 home runs. I'll say that. He's not going to hit 30 home runs. But 25 is definitely not out of the way and out of the question. I slept on Cano in the offseason. And maybe I shouldn't have. My feeling on it was second base was full of mediocrity, so I'll just wait till the end. And for the most part, it has been. I mean, obviously, we got Altuve, Cano. I'd probably throw Ian Kinsler in there, Rougned Odor to a lesser extent. But, I mean, if you drafted Colton Wong, you're definitely disappointed. If you drafted Travis, you're definitely disappointed right now. Aledmus Diaz, glad he's eligible at second base. Because shortstop's really deep and second base isn't. So I feel like it feels weird to say that he's more valuable at second than shortstop. But that's just the way it is this year, you know? Speaking of shortstops, Zach Cozart doing what he did last year before he was injured. I mean, he was never a hitter. And now he's batting 301. He homered tonight against the Cardinals. You know, he's been that's saying how much. I mean, Zach Cozart's batting 301 with 9 home runs, and he's 37% owned. That's how good shortstop is. I mean, that's crazy. So let's talk a little bit about prospects. Prospects we've seen so far. I gave up way too soon on Fulmer after he had after he had a couple bad starts. I rage quitted and dropped him everywhere. I mean, all he's done is toss scoreless innings ever since. Justin went behind and picked him up on every single one of them. So I definitely gave up too early then. Tyon made his debut tonight. I know he gave up 3 runs. I didn't see the Ks. I didn't see the stat line, but it seemed pretty decent. And everyone in the offseason was Glass now. He's gonna be up. And no, it was Tyon to get the first call. Now I think Nicasio is going to get booted out soon, and we're gonna see Glass now, and that'll be a crazy rotation. Glass now and okay, so you got a quality start. James says Tyon. I feel like I went out when the call-ups first happened. I just feel like I got prospect fatigue. Manaea was horrible. Manaea's kind of off and on. He's more of a streamer right now. Brett, yeah, Alex Reyes, Jose Barrios, or Bregman. I would probably rank them. Yeah, it's tough. I would probably put Alex Reyes last, just because I don't think he comes up till September. Not unless there's an injury in the rotation. And keeper league. Like a deep keeper league. Yeah, Orlando Arcia. When does he come up? I thought he'd be up by now, but VR has been so awesome. But I think VR will move to third, and they'll bring up Arcia before the All-Star break. I think I would have to go Bregman, Barrios, Reyes, 10-teamer. If you have an A slot, stash them. But if you don't have if you're just leaving them on the bench, I don't think they need to be owned as a 10 team. But yeah, Bregman, Barrios, Reyes. Couple of good guys. I missed out on Mazzara completely. He's been good this year, definitely. Rookies are doing well. I mean, obviously Profar, he's seeing more playing time. I kind of slept on him. I don't know if he'll continue being this good. I'm not too much of a believer, but I mean, he's a good speculative ad, especially with how bad Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland has been. Like, I think they'll they'll give Prince Fielder more chances, but I think Profar can take away Moreland's playing time pretty easily. Yeah, so Jerks, Albert Almora. What are we expecting from this guy? I speculative added him in a couple leagues, but I know he was a top-ish prospect, but I don't really know. I wasn't really paying attention to him. He wasn't even on my radar until he got called up. I mean, the playing time's complicated with Baez and Chris Bryant being able to play left field and all that. Okay, call you Tris. Yeah. Yeah, no. Like, if in an AL league, getting Profar is great. He's going to be, eligible a ton of places. Okay, so James says he's mostly glove. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a deep league, 16 team or more, he's a pickup just because that Cubs lineup is so amazing that, you'll get stats from anybody. I mean, you could put Stanton in and he'd bat 197 with 50 RBIs. But, other ones, see. Like, I don't know. Like, I barely have any rookies on my team anymore, just because I wasn't impressed by most of them. You know, they just most of them. I think it's also like James mentioned, this rookie class doesn't compare to last year, and that's kind of like, you know, where people kind of feel, you know, last year's rookie class was so amazing, and that's not going to happen a lot, or even, you know, probably next year or the year before, any of that. I mean, last year was just so amazing. Speaking of disappointments, can we put Carlos Correa there? When will Tris wants to know, when will Liriano return to form? I would never count him out because of the Pirates pitching coach, but I dropped him. I dropped him in 12 team, Liriano. Like, the whip is just so bad. He's walking so many people. He's on my watch list, but I'm not too big a believer in him. I mean, I don't think he's this bad, but the high whip, the walks just really scare me. So I'm not sure he will. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm not sure he will. Yeah. Yeah, Peralta's batting 500. I think he had 2 doubles yesterday. He had a home run tonight. He's going to be third base eligible with Carp at second and Diaz at shortstop, which I thought the Cardinals would make another stupid move and, like, you know, mess around with everybody, but I'm so glad they sent Wong down. I mean, it depends on who you gave up. I mean, you know, I don't think he's going to be terrible, but I don't think he's going to be last year either. I mean, if you bought really low on him, it's not that bad of a speculative pick. Like, just, you know, you can't start him now. Like, you have to bench him until you see some signs of life from him. So definitely that. You know, I feel like middle pitchers have been better, like, than a lot of top pitchers like Archer. I mean, you got Drew Pomeranz, you got Matt Wisler, kind of okay until a couple starts. You know, in all my teams, my middle pitching is carrying me, not my aces. Unless you're talking about my all pitching team I went with, where you have Syndergaard and Kershaw on the same team, which you can't beat that. You can't, like, but my hitting's terrible just because. I mean, literally, listen to this pitching staff I went with in the offseason. Oh, and I made a mistake. I meant Jose Fernandez. But I mean, Clayton Kershaw, Chris Sale, Jose Fernandez, and Danny Salazar. I mean, how's that for top 4? If only my hitting was good. I'm in a playoff spot, but, you know, my hitting needs to get a little better. I mean, I should probably look at dropping Burns in that league. I don't know why I've held on to him to this point. Let's see here. Yeah, in all my teams, like, I think I'm top 6 in every roto, and that's like I'm 6th in JD Balla's league, and then top 3 everywhere else. I'm in a playoff spot in every league but one, and that's a rebuild league I took over this month, where I have Kurt Suzuki as my catcher, and that's how bad it is. Yeah, I could leverage those pitchers. I mean, obviously you can't trade Kershaw because there's almost nothing that equals up to Kershaw. But maybe I could deal one of those pitchers and be okay. That is definitely something I should look into. Maybe Ryan wants one of my pitchers. Ryan's 11th right now. I don't know, like, out of that 4, who would you trade? I mean, Salazar, Fernandez, Sale, Kershaw. And obviously Kershaw not in the discussion, but Sale, Salazar, Fernandez. Like, Jose Fernandez is striking out a ton. Chris Sale's winning every ball game, basically. And then Salazar. I feel like you couldn't get as much for Salazar, even though he's been amazing. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe Ryan wants to trade Correa for somebody. I don't know. I'll definitely look into that league. See if I can make some offers. Pick up Peralta, which I definitely would. You're Eugenio Suarez or Jose Ramirez. I'm gonna say drop Jose Ramirez because of the playing time. And having Suarez on your bench can be helpful because he's sort of that Justin Upton guy. He's either hitting everything or he's really cold. So then you can have Suarez on your bench when he's cold, swap him in when he's got that hot streak. Yeah, Fernandez probably is the highest risk. Ryan, what? Like, I don't know. I don't like. Maybe a trade for Correa, but I don't think I could trade Jose Ramirez straight up for him. Like Jose Fernandez has been that good. I see Ryan picked up Profar in this league. He's got a decent rotation. Syndergaard, Stroman. Stroman hasn't been great, but Urias waiting for Giolito. The thing with that league is, like, I could trade for a power hitter. But in this league, I went in. By this time, I had done a ton of drafts. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something different for all starting pitching. Like, the first 4 rounds were all pitchers. And then I went for all average guys. I got guys like, Steven Biscotti in there. I thought Burns would give me average. He's not. I need to drop him. I did pick up Diaz in this league, so I have him in 3 leagues. Ozuna, Carpenter, just all the average guys. I'd probably want to go for an outfielder. Actually, like, I have Trevor Story as my shortstop, but I got Curtis Granderson and Billy Burns playing in my outfield. So definitely need an outfielder there. Yeah, that is disappointing, Tris. All right, Ryan's got to go. Thanks for coming, listening in. I always enjoy it. I got to go back and listen to your guys' podcast because I was working when you had it this morning. Yeah, Tris mentioned might not see Giolito till August, and I agree, and it's really disappointing, sort of. I mean, but there really is nowhere you can put him. I mean, Roark's been solid. Gio Gonzalez. I mean, obviously Strasburg, Max Scherzer. There's just nowhere to put him. And yeah. Well, it's getting about 10:30 here, getting pretty late. Yeah, I'll answer this one question and probably wrap it down. Shortstop, Cozart or Peralta? I do think that's pretty close, but I got to go with Peralta. Just better lineup. The Cardinals have the most runs in the National League, which they're 11 games behind the Cubs, and they have the most runs in the National League. Like, it's crazy. Would you do Carlos Correa for, I assume, Gregory Polanco? Ooh, I'm assuming that's a keeper. I'm assuming that's a keeper league. Ugh, go Cubs. Man, I do have to say, yeah, they've allowed about 100 more. Yeah, the Cardinals pitching has not been there this year, but I have to say this is probably how Cubs fans have felt for all these years. And I mean, Cardinals fans probably deserve feeling it at this point, and Cubs fans have waited. Not a keeper. That kind of. Oh man, who's your backup shortstop? That's close. What am I gonna do to catch up in the auction league? That's tough. I've been trying. I don't know. Like my team was so good, and I didn't want to tinker with it. Like, you know how you can outmanage yourself. You have Story and can snag Peralta. Yeah, I would do it. That's solid shortstop options. And Gregory Polanco is breaking out this year. I actually think I would do that. And it sounds crazy. It would sound crazy in the off season to say that, but I would if you can have Story and Peralta on the same team. Just because, Story will have some rough stretches. That would be ideal. So let me look at my team here. I mean, obviously, Jose Altuve has been carrying me in stolen bases along with Gene Segura. Now, this is net stolen bases, which is different. I actually picked up Almora Jr. here just because I need a nice outfielder. Unfortunately, this is a league I have Giancarlo Stanton in. And you got to think he's going to be better. So I think I can already improve there just by him actually, doing something. One pickup I'm really happy with in that league, Danny Valencia. He's been 343. And he was pretty good last year. I've been making a lot of pitching moves in that league too. I picked up Shoemaker recently. I picked up Paxton. I picked up Gray. Just because I had a couple really bad starts that kind of killed my ERA there. Maeda kind of fell off a cliff. I had some good starts today. Maeda has 5 innings and 8 Ks so far through 5 against Colorado. I had Tillman going today. Pomeranz didn't have a great start. Addison, I like in this league, if you want to offer me some infield help, like I'll seriously consider trading someone for infield help. Because I got Segura and Russell, who both haven't been great. Yes, there will be more tap the wires. Yeah, no. I mean, it's going to be hard. You've got such a solid team, and you've been super active in that league. Like, I'm going to have to get inventive to try to catch up there. And I'm not really excited about anybody on the wire for middle infield. But, like, seriously, if any of you in that league want to offer me some shortstops, yeah. But going back to JD Ball's question, future of the channel going forward, I know there hasn't been videos in almost 2 weeks now with Tap the Wire. That was a combination of work, sick, and general laziness. There will be Tap the Wire again going tomorrow, which I'm off tomorrow, so I'll have plenty of time to do that. I would definitely try to get more consistent with that. And I'd like to do more than that too. I had the daily fantasy show for a while. I kind of backed off that. It was kind of getting bad, losing every night. I've still been playing daily fantasy baseball, kind of breaking even. I think I just got too much in the analytics. I might do that sometimes. I don't think it can be a daily thing, but yeah, no, Brett, thanks for coming in on the live stream. Enjoyed the questions you have. I love answering the questions. It helped the live stream out that I wasn't just going off stuff on the top of my head. So no, but that's and also that Roto League, going back to the Roto League and trying to catch up. That's a deep league with deep rosters. I mean, there's some interesting people on the wire watch with. I mean, Drew Smiley, Rodon, Pineda, but Liriano. I don't know. Like, I feel confident about my team. I just think it's going through a little bit of a rough patch. Oh yeah, no. I'm sure Ryan and Tom would love to have you in a lot of leagues next year, Tris. I mean, you're the definition of an active fantasy owner. Like, I don't think I've been as active as you. and mostly, I mean, that's league overload kind of, but I'm very selective on how much I'm active. Like, I'm active in the money league, obviously, because, you know, I want to win $150. And I'm active in a couple of the dynasties. But some of the others, I'm like, I set my lineups, but I ignore it. And then every 2 weeks or so, I'll go through and see, hey, do I want to drop this guy? Do I want to add this guy? You know, I mean, I'm looking at the Roto League. You have 93 points. You're 19 points ahead of me, and just a couple days ago, we were separated by a couple points. Like, my team's fallen that far, but I just think it's going through a rough patch. I think once Stanton heats up, you know, and everything, my pitching after a really rough 2 weeks is looking a lot better. I think I'll get back up there. You know, it'll be a fun rest of the season. So, I have my energy drink here, almost out of it. I'm gonna wind things down. Yeah, Harris got another save. Yeah, that's actually a closer. One of the only closer situations that are kind of, and that's difficult. I mean, you got Harris, Giles, and Gregerson. It looks like Harris is the guy right now, but I still think Giles is going to end up there at some point. They traded for him. I think he'll be there. So thanks for hanging in on this live stream. You know, just kind of rambling, talking about, you know, players this season. So just gonna end it here. If you're listening afterward, thanks for watching. This is actually my first kind of podcast thing. Kind of hard to carry yourself. Hopefully, you know, maybe I'll find someone else and include them later, just to, you know, talk with another person, bounce them off each other. So have a great night for Fantasy Aid. I'm Andrew, and head toward the All-Star break.